because I wanted to ask the listener some questions, right?
Yeah.
866-801-8255. He says something before I get into what he said about affirmative action, which was very interesting. Very interesting. On this black man's show, and I'm saying that he's black so that you know that, Hotep Jesus is black. He discusses the backlash that he's receiving for making these comments. Let's play clip number 9.
Well, I'll tell you a little secret about me. I never do something for one reason. So I wouldn't do it just for laughs.
Right.
I wouldn't do it just for clout.
Mm-hmm.
I certainly wouldn't do it for financial reasons. I don't know if you've heard, but the Dilbert's being canceled all over the country, and it's, CNN is canceling me. I think TMZ was canceling me just before I got on. I think the biggest newspaper that carries me has already decided to cancel. I would be surprised if I'm in business a few days from now. So here's the things you can know it isn't. I wouldn't do it just for laughs. I mean, it isn't that funny. It's pretty funny, but it isn't that funny. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't do it for money. I wouldn't do it for reputation. Why would I do it? Well, that's a question. Why would I do it?
I think you want to have the conversation.
Any other reason I would do it?
I think you wanted to create room for the conversation.
I discovered that the price of free speech is really high, and there are only a few people willing to pay it. So I decided to pay it so that I could extend the conversation to something that everybody needs to hear. So let me set it up. You might want to play the quote first. Do you want to play the clip first or something to set it up?
Sure. Let me.
No. So the clip will be provocative, and then I'll give you the context. Now, I should say, while we're waiting to listen to this, that all day long people were very mad at me. That's why the cancellations. But to the best of my knowledge, nobody's disagreed with the point I made. And I keep asking if they disagree with the point, and they sort of avoid that question.
So the point he's making is, would you, I guess, hang out or be around people that don't like you or don't agree that it's okay for you to be?
We are.
Yeah.
We just don't whine about it. We just don't whine about it.
Every day we hang out with people that don't like us. So what don't think we deserve to be where we are every day. What are you talking about?
And also, it's not cancel culture, it's consequences culture. You can say what you want to say, but you don't have the freedom from consequences. So understand that. Like you said, he knew that perhaps he knew this was going to be provocative, and he knew that things were going to happen, but he went ahead with it anyway, which means, because he's not a dumb guy. So that tells me that he knew what time it was. He knew what he was going to be up against. Maybe he didn't expect the ferocity of it, but oh well.
Yeah, it was swift. It was, no, I mean, so here's the question. Here's where I really want to land. 866-801-8255. I'm giving out the number because I really want to have a conversation today. Renee Seiler is here. I feel as though post-civil rights and post-George Floyd, because I feel like it's a similar thing in terms of the reaction. It's a reactionary thing to something that's egregious, right? Civil rights, Selma Bridge, Birmingham, blowing up 4 little girls in a church, the murder of Martin Luther King, Bobby Kennedy. There's certain touchstones that America has to react to tamp down the fire, to keep the natives from being but so restless. George Floyd was one of those things. But it never deals with the core assault. Right? It's let's hire more. Let's Super Bowl. Let's put some black people in the Super Bowl. Let's make a couple of black people here. Here's some money. Institutional organizations with letters. Here's some money. Shh, be quiet here. Oh, HBCUs here. Money. We'll throw some money at you, and then we really don't have to change the power structure. Mm-hmm. Right? So I feel like we've painted ourselves, and I mean all of us. And when I say we, I don't mean us. Actually, I don't mean us. So let me be very clear about my language. I feel as though there've been representatives of black people post-civil rights and civil war, post-civil rights that have taken money and pressure off of the power structure at our detriment. We've gotten some victories. I'm putting up air quotes by so you have Black people in the boardroom now. You have Black, but it's window dressing. It hasn't addressed the actual systemic power structure. So when we have these conversations, nobody's lives have been really altered collectively. We're going to talk today about Jackson, Mississippi. There's no collective change. It's all window dressing. A few people have gotten better, including a lot of our institutional organizations. I was asking this question of somebody earlier before I came on. Where are our Ella Bakers, our Ida B. Wells, our W.B. Du Bois, people who were like poking, and actually going out, putting their whole entire lives on the line to break down this power structure? Ida B. Wells fighting for the rights of women to vote, even though Katie Stanton and all of the Susan B. Anthony didn't even want her Black self in their marches because it wasn't about power for all women. It was just power for white women. How dare you, Ida B. Wells? But she showed up anyway because that's what justice looks like, right? Ella Baker planning, just constantly, dealing with all of these egos to put together a strategy that would break the back of this power structure. Integration should not have been the biggest thing. And right now, reparations is still begging for something that is deserved and owed. You don't beg for anything that you're deserved and owed. I'm just going to say that. All right. So in many ways, I'm like, okay, what do we do with this? At the end of the day, it's just reaction to offenses, emotionalism. Some money will be thrown or some opportunities will be given to a couple of handful of people that somehow are proxy for the rest of us. And then we go on back, rinse and repeat. We'll be right back here. Mm-hmm. It didn't even take that long for the George Floyd summer to wear off.
Yep.
So I'm going to play one more clip and then we'll go to the phones and go to a break. 866-801-8255. I'm going to play two more. First, he talks about, and this is crazy. And again, nobody knew Scott Adams. Not really. He has less followers or subscribers on his YouTube channel, half as many as I do. So I'm just going to say that. All the people on there talking about who are you? I got twice as many subscribers on my YouTube channel that I'm not even really that active on until the last month because I hired some people to be active. But yeah, I'm not on there every day going live and getting all that, because that's not how I make my money. So it's just there for y'all to look at clips. This is the mission right here. Here in Nubia, this is what I do. YouTube is ancillary. And nobody was looking at Dilbert because nobody reads newspapers anymore. So if we're going to be honest, all of the newspapers, ain't nobody reading no newspaper, cartoon. You aren't the business, whatever. And good. I'm glad you were making money and you're wealthy enough to not care. But that's a dying business.
Yep.
So he needed a new stream of income and he found it. Because let me tell you, Trump will tell you, and all of Candace Owens will tell you, Jason Whitlock will tell you, Larry Elder will tell you. I can keep going. Jesse Lee Peterson, who can't string together two coherent sentences, will tell you, Diamond before Diamond and Silk. Silk will tell you, because she's the only one left now, that anti-Blackness in media is a cash cow.
That's right.
It's a cash cow. So he done figured this out. Figured it out. But here's what he did. I thought it was really problematic and interesting at the same time. Let's play clip number 8.
So I'm trying to remember when it was, but several years ago, I said I'm going to identify as Black. Now, part of the reason was that I could. It was just an option, right? So I thought, well, that sounds good.
Wait, pause for a second. Pause for a second. Spence. Y'all, he checked Black. Look, I've been saying this though. So listen. There's a diagram where you got Bernie Sanders supporters, Trump supporters, and then Karen Hunter's in there somewhere because I've been saying everybody should check Black. That would mess up everything on everything. Everybody check Black because again, it's a made up construct. I've been saying this. He's been checking Black. Right. And because we have, so many people who, walk through this world who could actually pass. How do you know who's Black? It's a construct. So I thought this was really interesting and clever. Go ahead. Go ahead, Smith, go. So
I'm trying to remember when it was, but several years ago, I said I'm going to identify as Black. Now, part of the reason was that I could. It was just an option, right? So I thought, well, that sounds good. But then I thought I could get the best of both worlds. If there's anything ever that's like, rationed by race, I can say, well, I identify as Black. And if people wanted to treat me as white because they like that, they'd look at me and say, well, I think he looks white. So I thought I could get the best of both worlds, sort of a mix. But the less funny answer is that I was spending tons of time working on things that were directly for the benefit of the Black community. So a lot of the things I was advocating for. So for example, a lot of people don't know that I'm left-wing. A lot of your audience is going to be confused because the headlines are saying I'm a right-wing MAGA guy.
Yeah.
I'm actually endorsing Vivek Ramaswamy for president, primarily because I'm a single issue voter on fentanyl. He's pretty tough on fentanyl. But what people don't know is I'm super left-wing. I volunteered to work for Black Lives Matter, helped Hawk Newsom try to craft some useful policies that the right and the left would agree on. Stuff like body cams. I thought, wow, there's this problem of police brutality. What if more police had body cams? So I tried to work with Black Lives Matter to see if we could get something going. Now, it didn't take long to find out that Black Lives Matter was a sort of a not legitimate organization. So long before the headlines verified it, my brief encounter, it was clear that they were not, focused on any kind of solutions.
All right, let's talk when we come back. Renee Seiler is here. The number is 866-801-8255. What do you do? And this is the complication of race in America, right? If Ibram Kendi were saying the exact same thing in his Black body, we wouldn't have a problem with it. We have a problem with him. Is that right? What about this whole thing of race? And then we're going to talk about affirmative action because he said something really interesting that I want us to think about. But more importantly, have we painted ourselves into a corner? If without an action plan, without a system built, what are we doing? We are here. And I know I rarely play this many clips, and I'm only doing this today because I feel like, media has been too quick to not cancel, because yes, he should be excoriated, because I do feel that there's a level of trolling that, yes, there's consequences for the level of trolling that you're doing. And it was unnecessary to say all of those things. So you just gaslighting, saying things that you think are, he thinks is clever, but it's just not landing. But also I feel like our emotional responses should shift. Like, we already know what it is, right? We know what it is to be Black in America, which he's not. So the comments that you're making about us, first of all, you don't have any license. I don't care how many times you check Black on a box. There's no place in this world where you're actually being treated like a Black person. So knock that the F off. You're not living a Black experience. Right. So knock that the F off. And all of this pontificating that you're making about what we should and should not be doing, you've never lived it. So have several actual seats, and may your seats have tax in them. But that said, the final thing, but there are some things, because I believe in chewing up the meat and spitting out the bones, Renee. I'm not somebody that's just going to not take something. I actually may agree with this last point, because that's how complicated I am. All right, let's play the clip number 10.
Affirmative action. Yeah, it's racist by definition. It's racist by intention. It's overtly racist, and it's supposed to be. In fact, it wouldn't work if it were not racist. Would it? Now, I've tentatively been in favor of, I'm forgetting the word, but I've been tentatively in favor of affirmative action historically. So I've been in favor of it, which is pretty racist. Wouldn't you agree? Would you agree that for all the years that I was in favor of affirmative action, because I think probably there was a point in history where you needed a sledgehammer to get things, roughly equal. And it was very bad for people like me, because I lost two careers because I wasn't Black and I wasn't female. My bosses told me that directly. If you don't know those stories, you're going to doubt that they're true. Trust me, they're true. Yeah, I was told twice that I couldn't be promoted during my corporate years because I was white and male. They told me that directly, not hinted at it, directly, in direct words. Now, during those times, I was also in favor of affirmative action, because it was also clear that, something needed to be done, and I didn't have a better idea. So I thought, well, I lost 2 careers, but I still had so many options that I went off and got rich a different way. So I didn't feel like much of a victim, even though I was targeted. I don't really have a victim mindset. So I had plenty of opportunities. So I just said, well, this sucks. I'll go somewhere where things don't suck so much. So I went where you could, succeed just with talent. I didn't need to be a certain color or gender. But so when I was in favor of affirmative action, which, by the way, I'm currently not in favor of. I'm currently not in favor of affirmative action, but only because the gap has closed enough, not completely. It's not like we have equality, but we've closed the gap enough that the best thing you could do for the Black community would be to get rid of favoritism. Because you want to do that short of actually full equality. Like, you want to end the favoritism just before you get, or not even just before, but well before you get to total equality. Because the affirmative action causes bad feelings on its own, right? Affirmative action by its nature isn't a clean win for Black people.
Thoughts and prayers. 668.
You know what? First of all, I feel like, Karen, you're way more gracious than I'm feeling, because the number of times in my head I'm screaming, "That's bull," are too many to count. He had opportunities to go somewhere else because he, by virtue of the skin he's in, even though he says he's Black, the idea that you think checking Black on a box is somehow funny or whatever. It's like, why you would do it just is sort of.
But if you think you're humorous, like, he's got a cartoon where he's like, we're bringing diversity into the office, and there's a cartoon of a white man, a white little cartoon next to a brown skin cartoon, and then the brown skin guy says, well, I'm white. And he's like, there you go, messing up everything. Like, in his mind, he thinks he's poking a finger in this notion of race to begin with. I feel like that's what he's doing. And he's trolling at the exact same time.
You're very gracious, because
it reminds me, gracious. I don't know that I'm gracious.
It reminds me of when I was a Cub reporter and in Reno, Nevada. And I remember a white woman saying to me, well, you're lucky because you're Black. I mean, in other words, you're here because you're Black, not because of my talent, not because I happen to be good on camera, but because I was Black. And I said, look around this newsroom. Who else in here looks like me? Oh, just me? Just one? Okay. So how is that, somehow me being Black gave me an advantage, that the door cracked open and I was able to put one toe inside and was good. I mean, I was good at what I did. I am good at what I do. But the idea that sentiment is too much for me.
Right. So how you feel right now is exactly how they want you to feel.
Yes.
First week on the job at the Daily News, my actual boss said, you're only here because you're Black. Said that out of his mouth. So she was being subtle. He actually said that to my face.
Yep.
I wasn't offended, because I'm like, okay, well, I'm about to show you what a Black person does. The next week, I had a front page piece in the Sunday New York Daily News on a kid that was homeless. Because in my mind, I'm like, I'm good enough to be here. Not just good enough. I think I'm better than you. But I kind of feel that way in every room that I go into. So you can't offend me with your insecurity. Do you see what I'm saying? So,
but it's exhausting.
No, it's not. It's only exhausting if you choose to. So yes, I'm not being gracious as much as I'm not giving it any, there's no validity to it.